Hello and welcome to Make Explore Art. Now today I'm going to show you how to make a really simple Collagraph plate and make a series of prints. I'll be using the Artway Printmaking Kit, which comes with everything you need to make a Collagraph. So I'll be using PVA glue and the grey board in the printmaking kit. In addition to this, I will be using some masking tape and some pink card to make my low relief Collagraph plate. Here I've prepared a portrait which has been adapted, whereby I've added different colours and shapes and pattern to make it into my Collagraph plate. So I'll start by tracing over this to get the exact shapes that I want for my print. Make sure that you tape it in place so that you can then accurately trace over and around these shapes. Once you've traced all of the areas that you want to make into your low relief Collagraph, all you need to do is keep it taped to the piece underneath, flip it over and slide the piece of card in between. Now yours doesn't have to be pink card, it's just what I'm using. It can be any thin card. Now I'm going to trace over the back of my tracing paper over the same shapes and lines. This way, the image will be transferred onto the pink card. It's also in reverse, so that when I make my print, it will be the right way round. Now when you're looking at this to see if it's transferred onto the pink card, it will be very faint to start with. But try to do this accurately, and the more accurately you do this, the darker the line will be. If you are finding it's really faint to even cut out, then you can always go over this with your pencil once you've taken the tracing paper off. So to start making your Collagraph plate, all you need to do now is carefully cut around those shapes. Make sure they're really well glued down to the grey board, as you don't want anything moving out of place. The next stage that you'll be doing will be rolling ink over this board, so it doesn't need to be the neatest thing, it just needs to be so that the shapes are forming a low relief. And as you're sticking these pieces down, you may well want to go over with a thin layer of glue over the top, just so that you are absolutely sure this is nice and secure. The more secure it is, the longer this plate will last for printing, and you can do a series of different prints from. So now I'm ready to start printing. But before I do, I need a couple of things. I need some larger paper, so I've used A3. I need some newspaper, my roller, my baron, my pot of ink, palette knife, and the ink in tray as well. So carefully opening up the ink, I'll use my palette knife to just put a small amount at the top of my inking tray. I can always put more on, so at this point I always just say be a little bit cautious with it, because you could probably, from the amount that I'm using here, I'm aiming to make about 4 prints. Now, as you're using a roller to roll out your ink, you're aiming to listen for the sound a bit like Velcro. It will become really sticky, but the idea is that you're covering your roller or brayer, not just the palette. So looking at this roller, I think I'm ready to get started on my printing. So carefully, if I take my ink tray off of my newspaper, I'm now going to put my Collagraph plate onto my newspaper and carefully roll over this with the ink. Now once I'm ready to print, I need to flip my newspaper over so that there's no inky residue on the outside. And now I'm ready to make my first print. So I'll take my A3 paper, place it down over my Collagraph plate whilst thinking about centering it, push firmly down on the back. You can use your baron if you need to. And you'll see that image just lightly on the back of it. And then carefully peel away your paper, holding down your Collagraph plate so it doesn't flick back up, and you have your first print. Now, like I said, first print's okay, second and third ones will be so much better, so I'm going to continue printing for another 2 or 3 goes. Let's see what happens. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to Make Explore Art for more tips, tricks and tutorials, and see you next time.